New Testament scholars N.T. Wright and Michael Bird have a new book out. It's called Jesus and the Powers. And as someone who's written on the subject of the intersection of politics and Christian teaching myself, and particularly of those spiritual entities that the Apostle Paul called the powers and the principalities, this book seemed like it might be right up my alley. Essentially what Wright and Bird are doing, they have two major tasks here. One is to summarize the biblical data about political power and its spiritual components, and two, to lay out a practical theology to guide Christians in making decisions about how to interact with the political sphere. However, their treatment of the spiritual powers from the biblical data was fairly superficial, and the most important part of their argument there was that since Jesus is said to have reconciled the powers, Christians can now feel comfortable participating in the political system. However, this claim is not only contradicted by other biblical data that's more explicit, more clear, but it logically leads to some form of Christian nationalism or theocracy, which are two places that the politically moderate Anglican authors don't want to go to. Their discussion of Christian political involvement is also weakened by a concern for being pragmatic rather than biblical or even logical. The Bible teaches Christians to be nonviolent, but Bird and Wright promote Christian involvement in state violence when they find it useful, or when they think it serves a good purpose. They also champion the liberal tradition of freedom, but fail to follow it to its logical, libertarian, or even anarchist conclusion. While I would much rather their more moderate view predominate than the often Christian nationalist-leaning views of some American evangelicals, I have to say that I was unsatisfied with their treatment of this important topic. For a more thorough treatment of their book, you can check out my review at libertarianchristians.com. Also at libertarianchristians.com, the Libertarian Christian Institute. Doug Stewart's the flagship podcast, he had a great interview with Michael Bird, which clarified some of their position, and it's also worth a listen.